to put it out there, everything that they've got. They know what's at stake, a place in the final of the competition. And I've heard people talking about that old cliche, who wants it more? Well, we're about to find out.
And would it be fair to say, Roshan, at the end of that match, neither side could probably say we were better than you or we had the edge? Do you think it was a fair reflection that day?
Yeah, it was an interesting game of football. First half, I thought Indonesia were the better side. They controlled the game really well, and then second half they allowed Singapore to sort of get back into it, and perhaps a bit of fatigue in the legs of some of these Indonesian players. Some of the substitutions were a little bit strange as well. Alkan Baggett coming in at halftime sort of disrupted things and allowed, you know, Iksan especially from Singapore to get an opportunity to run at him on a couple of occasions. And I thought Singapore's performance was much better in the second 45, and they came away with a draw, which was a fair result when you look back at that match.
Whether they want to admit it or not, are high in Singapore for the national team, who many feel have punched above their weight. And same now with Indonesia as we look at the lineups. And they make two changes from that first leg. Ezra Walian, the preferred striker this evening, and Ramai Rumakek returns from suspension. They are still maintaining that 5-4-1 that they played in the first leg, perhaps to the surprise of many. And it is interesting to see that Irfan, who's been one of the outstanding players for Indonesia, drops to the bench today. Didik Setiawan is the striker who will also be on the bench. They have got plenty of other attackers to call upon. Egy Maulana in particular, so much been talked about him. Much speculation as to whether he would start today in attack, but he will be on the bench. The player who is in the Slovakian league. And there is another surprise. Iksan Fandi, we'll talk about him in a short while, as the two captains, Asnawi and Haris Harun, just having the toss, deciding which ends. Talking of ends, we could well have penalties at the end of all of this. If it is still a draw at the end of the 90, then extra time, we will go to penalties. Singapore make more changes than Indonesia from that first leg. In come Amy Reka, Hafiz Noor, Zulkarnain Suzliman and Hami Shahin. So 4 changes in all for Singapore. They too are going to go with a 5 at the back, 5-4-1. Slight tweak from the last game where it was a 5-3-2. And it's Haris Harun in the middle of that defence. A tweak that they had in the second half of the game against Indonesia would seem to bear fruit. The players that make way, Nazrul Nazari, the right back, as well as Iksan Fandi and Faris Ramli. Perhaps the 2 changes that will have a few Singaporeans a little bit concerned. Zulfami Arifin was taken off in the middle of that game against Indonesia in the first leg. Kasim Al-Hatmi, the referee, Omani referee, the last referee in the previous game, came under scrutiny for decisions. Penalty that wasn't given. And there's been plenty of talk from the coaches here about asking for VAR in the next edition. Let's see if that happens. But here in the here and now, Roshan, what do you make of the 2 lineups tonight?
I think for Indonesia, it's one we pretty much expected. You know, they've done well. They found pretty much a system that they're going with that has suited them. And again, when you look at the lineups that they've got, there's an opportunity for, as we said, the flexibility that they have with Alfiandra, for example, can slot into a back 3. They can also go with a back 4 and push Alfiandra forward into that midfield to play alongside Rahmat Irianto and Ricky Kambuaya. So there's flexibility in that lineup, and it's the same with Singapore as well. A bit more surprised with the changes that they've made, but I think they've perhaps had a few fitness issues. The game's, you know, coming thick and fast in the knockout stages.
Well, almost immediately, Hafiz Noor searing down that left-hand side. He's got the pace, hasn't he, Hafiz Noor?
He's been looking confident, hasn't he? And not Hafiz Noor, I'm referring to the man on the bench just now. Tatsuma Yoshida is smiling all the way through.
It's a different kind of outlook because he's had a tough time, hasn't he, in this tournament?
Yeah, and he's got a big smile on his face. You know, we saw him as the teams were coming out for their warm-up. He was looking nice and relaxed, nice and confident. And you know, we talk about the changes that are being made. You see that the goals that have been conceded in this competition, the passing accuracy so far, things like the crossing accuracy, not too much of a difference between these two sides.
Absolutely. I was just going to say, every stat there, and there's Shin Tae-yong, the opposite number, who's also quite the character himself. Everything was close except for goals scored. 14 for Indonesia, 8 for Singapore, but they've had almost exactly the same number of shots, which means that Singapore have been pretty good with the conversion rate. If you want to look at that, Amy Reka, the man who's leading the line for Singapore, had one really great effort, didn't he, against Nadio in that first leg. And talking of forwards, Indonesia had 3 different forwards. They tried 3 different combinations, didn't they? Ezra Walian was yanked off after 34 minutes, having been brought on.
Yeah, at halftime, I guess it just wasn't quite working out for him.
Pakai GoPay Later, bisa dapat cashback.
Di Lazada 11 Sale ada produk terbaru serba Rp11.000. Dan bonus dadakan hingga Rp500.000 untuk tunjukin cara care kamu ke orang-orang tersayang dan orang-orang di sekitar. Beli sekarang.
But good to see he still retained the faith of his coach.
Here's Siaran Sulaiman for Singapore. That's a delightful ball up to his club teammate Hafiz Noor, who doesn't get the better of the Indonesian skipper Asnawi. We know about the pace of this Indonesian side, that it's caused so many problems, and now Roshan, they've enhanced it. Ramai Rumakek.
Yep.
What a paceman he is.
A very direct player, number 20 on the left-hand side of this Indonesian attack.
Poor old Irfan, eh? Getting dropped like that. I mean, that is the kind of depth. Force that. There's Nur Adam Abdullah, preferred in that left wing-back position. And his first international start in that last game, and has retained his place. They have rotated the wing-backs a little bit in this tournament, Singapore. Now Siaran Sulaiman. Trying to slide that into Amy Reka. And he featured for Singapore. Now he's got to start here in the semi-final. Big moment for him. Here's Pratama Arhan.
There's fresh legs for Singapore, especially in those forward positions with Amy and Hafiz Noor coming in. Interesting to see how they get on, and I know there's a lot of talk on social media about Singapore's lineup and how people weren't sure with the changes that were made. I mean, he's got a squad, Tatsuman. He's been very consistent with his messaging around it, in that he said, I trust every member of the squad.
It's a delightful ball from Hamid Shahin. Reka, by the way, he's got plenty of pace about him as well. Had a standout season last campaign for Geylang International. 10 goals for him. His best return.
Yeah, I mean, if we see Amy Reka initially making that run in behind, got cut out, and then Hamid Shahin. It's a really good shielding of the ball by Alfeandra, who looks to just be occupying a central midfield position alongside Rahmadi Rianto. And what that means is it's given Ricky Kambuaya a bit more freedom to drift across those midfield areas. Here he is on the right-hand side.
Rianto, distinct with that tucked-in shirt. Nice touch on to Song Wei-yong. Everything seems to pass through Siaran Sulaiman. He's got a quarterback type of role. Pratama, quick pass on from him. Here's Ramai Rumakek. Now Witan Sulaiman. Still Witan, who was brilliant in that last game. Witan. Bit of a plea in vain there to the referee.
Yeah, another player who's very difficult to pin down. Witan Sulaiman talked about his intelligence and you know, his awareness of the game. Just wonderful. You know, he gets himself into areas where he knows that, you know, he can pick the ball up here, cause lots of issues in behind the Singapore midfield. And again there, he picked it up behind that midfield and looked to try and run it in defense.
Showed a little bit too much of the ball there. Irfan, here come Indonesia. Witan Sulaiman slips the ball through. And that was a poor miss right in front of goal by Kambuaya.
I think it might have taken a deflection off Haris. It was so important for the Singapore captain to come across. Irfan just getting caught out by Ramai Rumakek there. I love this. This is intelligence from Witan Sulaiman. Understanding of, you know, he could have perhaps taken a shot on himself, but he thinks, you know, Ricky Kambuaya has made a good run. Use him. Nice little reverse ball into the number 15, and it was so important for Haris to come across. That's one of the benefits of having that back three, an additional man in the center of defense.
Corner for Indonesia, first one of the game. Important intervention there by Haris Harun, who they've preferred in that back three now. Here is Witan then with the corner. Doesn't get past the first man. Witan Sulaiman again. Alfian Dewanga. Pratama Arhan, we know we can hit them. Scored a great goal against Malaysia. Slip through. There is Rumah Ramakek. Good early pressure here from Indonesia.
A good start to this game. I think from both these sides, but especially from Indonesia here, looking more comfortable on the ball. Get things going at a good tempo. And Singapore looking to still try and play out from these pressure situations. Lovely dummy there from Hami Shaheen.
And all that pressure started from Irfan trying to bring the ball out. The sequence of events has led to this. A lot of time on the ball. He loves to try and bring the ball out of play. Here's Hafiz Noor.
Very good work from Hafiz Noor, quick feet. And he's one of those players, Hafiz Noor, who, a little bit like Haris Harun, was unfortunate to pick up COVID. Which meant, of course, going to be involved in quite a bit of the build-up.
Fantastic run for Zulkan and Suleiman. And that was a ballooned shot, wasn't it, from Song Ryong?
Tatsuma Yoshida is a big fan of Hafiz Noor. And I think every time he's been in the squad, he's contributed.
There's Rawalian running in that channel, and it's good work there from Irfan Fandi. He's not the most mobile of strikers, isn't he? But he's big and he's got that physical presence.
Ezra Walian, yeah, and you know, lots of Indonesian fans out there are calling him Giroud, the Indonesian Olivier Giroud, because of his physicality, his role in the team as well. As I said, you know, he perhaps is not going to get too many goals, but you can play off him,
yep.
and they've got good mobility around him as well. So that type of style.
The issue I've certainly been seeing online as we see that ball in from Pratama Arhan. That's another corner for Indonesia. He's the only striker that scored in the goals, and that's one goal from the 4 that they've brought in. Shin Tae-yong's team have been scoring plenty. It's not come from their forwards.
Yeah, I think very early on here, Haris has just had to have a word with Irfan, who defended that situation really well. But there's a couple of occasions now in possession where Irfan's saying, I don't have options to pass to, and they've turned it over to the Indonesians.
That was solid from Safwan. Pratama Arhan. A couple of nervy moments there. Noradam does well. Another corner.
A good covering by Noradam. Some wonderful work from Pratama Arhan. And the one who loves getting into these advanced positions. Very modern day left back.
Well, that looked like something off the training ground. The shot is blocked from Fakhruddin Arianto. Into the mix by Alfayandra, straight forward for Hassan Sani. He looks up. Decided not to release quickly. Has done that in the past, hasn't he, with Faris Ramli in particular. That was perhaps telegraphed. It's come straight back at Singapore here. A real problem. It's a straightforward goal. And it's Ezra Walian. Indonesia take advantage there.
They deserve this, Indonesia, for the start that they've had in this game. They've been aggressive with the press, with the starting position. They've not given these Singaporean players a chance to settle in this game so far. The punter field is picked up here by Alfayandra. Ball played in behind. Talk about who wants it more. Witan Sulaiman makes this goal happen. Just his desire to win it off Safwan. Alfayandra first pokes it forward. And here you're thinking, Safwan is caught on the wrong side. He's not goal side of Witan, but still physically.
Pakai GoPay Later, bisa dapat cashback.
Di Lazada 11 Sale ada produk terbaru serba Rp11.000. Dan bonus dadakan hingga Rp500.000 untuk tunjukin cara care kamu ke orang-orang tersayang dan orang-orang di sekitar. Beli sekarang.
Witan just shrugs him off, unbalances him, and then has the presence of mind here. What I love about this is the composure. He hangs on to it, takes it past Haris, who's got a little bit flat-footed, and then holds and holds and waits for Hassan to come out to commit, and then finds the pass for a simple finish into Ezra Walian.
Well, we're just talking about perhaps a lack of goals up top for Indonesia. Ezra Walian has scored here. That's his second of the tournament. Boy, how valuable could that be? And once again, Indonesia take a lead in the semi-finals.
Well, it started off like this in the first leg as well, Indonesia. With a much better side in the opening 45 of the first leg. It faded a little bit in the second, but it looked fresh. Still very early on. Lots of football to go. But encouraging signs.
Witan. Hamid Shahin. Here's Song Wei-young. Singapore just not been allowed to settle. Goes in hard there, Alfrean Devanga.
Yeah, I don't know if Tatsuma is smiling anymore, you know. He's concerned now.
So there you go, on aggregate, Indonesia 2-1 up. Reminder, there's no away goals. There's the man of the moment, Ezra Walian, Dutch Indonesian heritage. Started his career with AZ Alkmaar and Ajax Amsterdam. Maybe moved to Indonesia a couple of years ago. Here he is now. There was debate as to whether he should get starting place today, and there were lots and lots of speculation about Egy Maulana. He has answered his critics there.
I just wonder with the goal as well, as Haris came out to close down Witan Sulaiman, whether Irfan could have come across a little bit quicker into the space that Ezra Walian was occupying.
It's Hafiz Noor. Lots of thinking to do here for Tatsuma. Again, they're just quicker to the ball here. And look who it is, Alfeandra. Ramai, that ball out to Witan. Asnawi goes over. Still Asnawi here. Well, they are looking very good here. It's Kambuaya with the shot. It's all Indonesia at the moment.
Yeah, the quicker, the sharper. They look hungry at the moment. They're winning these physical challenges. You just have a look at Asnawi again. Called him a machine on social media a few days ago, and just displaying those fighting qualities once more. And it's not just him. We saw it from Alfeandra as well. What a player he is, that young man. Can play in central defense, can play in midfield. So composed, really hard-working, winning all these 50-50 balls in the middle of the park.
Ramai. Away by Hassan. So the irritation of the fans, that decision. Here's Rizki. Another corner. They are racking these up now.
Yeah, he's another one who's enjoying himself, Ricky Kambuaya. Love him and his movement, his work rate. He's got that license to drift across, as I said, and we saw him on the right-hand side. Now he's pushing out to that left-hand side because he's got that platform in behind him. He knows he's got Alfreandra Devanga and Rahman Irianto sitting in that central midfield. So he's got that sort of license to then drift into these different spaces and still knowing that if they do end up losing possession, they've got a nice defensive structure in there to help them out in those counter-attacking situations.
Little word there from Ezra Walian. Kambuaya. Away by Hami Shahin, but only as far as Alfayandra. Ramai. Back to Hassan there. From Hami Shahin, from Zulkarnain. Singapore just not being able to get past halfway line.
No, they haven't really been able to build anything in possession, always under pressure. The choices that they're making as well in possession. And what they did in the second half of that first leg, when they were able to turn it around, the tempo of their game changed. It went up, they played a little bit quicker, but also the players were arriving at good timings to support players in possession. So they were able to really build and have a good structure in that possession phase of play.
They're getting closed down, aren't they? Very quickly. Indonesia has a pocket of space here for Song Wei-Ung. That's a goal kick. Tatsuma not happy, neither is Song. Looks across at the assistant referee. Well, Roshan, you immediately felt that that was a goal kick.
Yeah, I thought straight away. I thought that was a goal kick. But let's see. I could be wrong. I was just going by my real-time reaction to that.
What about your slow-mo reaction to that now?
I still think it's a goal kick. Yeah, and Rahman Irianto, good shielding of the ball again. Just gets his body in the way, takes the contact, wins the free kick.
There is Ramai. Look at that. Makes the pass and then sprints forward. Pratama Arhan. Back to Ramai. Dinks it up towards Ezra Walian.
It's interesting, you know, you mentioned VAR and how the world of football has gone from absolutely hating VAR, not wanting it. You see Iksan on the bench here. He's not 100% fit. We saw him have a bit of an issue the last time out, coming off after scoring that goal.
Yeah,
immediately
yeah.
I think he was going to be taken off actually before that. So going back to VAR, and a few mistakes happen, and suddenly it's in the spotlight again, and everybody wants VAR now.
Well, I think it serves to enhance the game, and perhaps we may see it in the next AFF Suzuki Cup.
Well, there are a lot of considerations when it comes to VAR. Obviously, you need the infrastructure in place. You also need referees capable of working it well, trained and qualified and have had practice with it.
Thailand actually have put that as part of their bid when they were looking to host this. Singapore will beat them in the end. There's Hami Shahin. Now Zulkarnain looking for Song, who's annoyed there. And here come Indonesia. Look at that. Once again, Pratama Arhan slips it through to Ezra. Irianto. Irianto. The outside of his boot. Effectively, Roshan, you were pointing this out even in the last game, but today, Alfian Devanga, it isn't a back five, is it?
No, it's they've gone to a back four.
Yeah.
And with a player like Alfiandra Dewanga, he can drop into that back line.
Yeah.
And also, let's not forget Rahman Irianto as well, who can play in central defense. So they've got two midfielders that are very comfortable in those central positions. Heavy collision between Amy and Alfiandra, quickly taken by Indonesia here.
It's kind of caught in two minds and looking around, but Indonesia thought quickly. Here's Nuradim Abdullah. looking towards Amy Reka, but it falls to Song Wei-young. Nice touch on from Amy Reka. Ami needed to put a better cross in. That's about as threatening as Singapore have been.
I mean,
Di laga